How's it going, ScrubGamers? Welcome back to another deck profile, and this time covering my King Cold list that I took to Newport Store Championship to come in at 6th, and also in the LPG Webcam 4-star ball event, which ended up coming in 3rd. So originally I did want to play Bojack for the weekend, but unfortunately Royal Mail decided to say no and make it so that the last few cards I needed for the deck that I bought did not arrive, and then in the end, the only decks I had, the only options I had was either this or Vecca Ramp. And after the card market event, where there's a lot of King Vegeta in it, I expected to be a lot of red, and mostly if there's red, there's SSB Kaioken Son Goku, which can easily get rid of my Veku without Trigger's effect. And I thought I don't want to deal with that, so I'll take King Cold. Plus, I really like King Cold. It's a really interesting deck, and I wanted to give it a try, so I decided to take that instead. And yeah, had a fun time on the events. Shout out to Sin City Comics and Gaming. They held a really good event, very safe. Made sure we distance all the time. So we had like assigned seats for our tables, so take your seat with you. To be as safe as possible. They also sanitized the tables between each round, gave us a bit of time in between rounds as well to go out for a breather, because wearing a mask all day is is not the best thing, not the nicest thing. And also, yeah, made sure I was safe, and I did extra pricing on the staff as well to the end. And also shout out to London Players Guild for hosting a really good event, the Webcam 4-star ball. It's run really well. Judging was really great as well. Good shouts to Pieter for running it smoothly and judging really well, and also for Scott for playing really good commentary, because I managed to, from my first round, to be able to watch the the stream, and it's very enjoyable. So without further ado, what I'm going to do is go through the list, both main and sideboard, go over the cards, reasons behind them, things like that, and then go through my matchups from Newport and the Webcam event. So we'll start with the leader. So the leader has a permanent that's the same on both sides, where when activating a field skill of a green extra card with original cost of energy cost of 2, from your hand you reduce the energy cost by 1. So that makes all the field cards, well, all the field cards you can play, because you start off with 1 as well, just 1 cost in your hand, and that permanent is the same on both sides as well. And then it's got this auto, which we've seen on cards since set 2, where as soon as you put it in the leader area, you play the field card from your deck, which is this, which we'll go over in a bit. Then we have the auto, which is the same on both sides, but similar, a little bit of difference on between, which is the auto of once per turn. When you activate a green extra card with an original cost of 2 and the field skill, you add up to 1 card from your life to your hand and draw 1 card. So note that it says add up to 1 card, so you don't have to take a life if you don't want to. Because like against some decks, like some aggro matchups, you might want to take life because they can aggro you hard enough, and you don't want to put yourself lower in life for them to just aggro you even further down. You want to try and get to 4 energy by turn 2, awaken, and then control the game from there. And it's the same on the front side, just on the front side, it's the same on the back side, just on the back side you don't take a life. And then it's got the awaken of when you're less at 4 or less, untap 2 and flip over, which is really good. And like I just said, we have the same permanent on the front side, same also on the back side, just so you don't take a life. And then now he has an activate battle of once per turn. When choose 1 green extra card with energy cost 2 and the field skill in your battle area, put in your drop, and then this card gains 10,000 power for the battle. So that's just even your opponent's turn or your turn to basically get a free 10k boost. Really good. And also helps remove your field cards, because you can only control 1 of each of the field cards at a time. So I'm going to get into the rest of the cards. So leader's very strong. So we got, first off, we have the King Cold's Dynasty, which is this is the field card you start off with as soon as you start playing the game. And it's got a whole load of text. We're going to just shorten it down and simplify it. But it has barrier. It's the field card that has barrier, and this is relevant because it means that it's going to be hard for your opponent to get rid of. And the only way you can get rid of this is by the Zeno Unison, by using its -5. So if you go against a blue and they got the units in unison, don't let it get to -5 energy, make sure to take it out, because if they do the -5, it gets rid of all your board, including your field cards. And then without this on the board, you can only play one field card ever. Because what this card does with its first permanent, in layman's terms, is you can control as many field cards as you want. So you can have more than one field card essentially, as long as as long as the other ones are mono green 2-cost ones. And the other permanent basically says that if you have one field card on the board, you can't play another copy of that field card until you get rid of the one on board. So if I've got a new ruler on the board and I want to play another new ruler, I have to get rid of the one on board before I can actually play the one in my hand. That's what that basically does. And going on with the field cards, we play 13 because we want to. The leader's draw is all dependent on you playing your field cards. So you want to make sure you play enough to see and open with them, and to help you awaken consistently. So we have first off 4 of the new ruler. So this is probably the best one to help deck fin and search for your deck, because they've mostly all got 2 autos. There's only one that doesn't have a second auto, and they've always got 1 auto when you play it and 1 auto when you sack it off. So the first auto on this is when this card is placed in the battle area, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand, then look up to 3 cards on top of your deck, add up to 1 mono green card among them to your hand, and then place the rest of them on your deck. So I think all of them, apart from one, which is Anticipated Onslaught, have part of their auto to say you can take up to 1 card from your life, which goes in tandem with the leader to help you awaken quickly. Because you want to awaken turn so you get your unison out and have the energy up to defend and do things. And also in the deck, there's only 1 non-green card, which is your Overwhelm. So this card will never whiff at all, because there's any green mono green card. And it's got the second auto, which is when this card is placed in the drop area from a battle area by one of your skills, draw 1 card, then choose up to 1 card in your hand and discard it. So really good to help filter through. So if you got stuck with field cards, you set this off to play, so you can play everyone in your turn. You can then draw a new card and ditch a card that's dead in your hand. Then we have 4 Anticipated Onslaught. This is the second best field in the deck because of its autos. So the first auto is if your leader card is a green King Cold BR card. When this card is placed in the battle area, you draw 1 card, then you choose up to 1 mono green Freezer Clan or Freezer Army card with energy cost of 2 or less in your hand to play it. So there's going to be 2 targets you play off this. First one is Berry Blue, which helps you then search for more field cards or your unison, and helps you try and make sure Berry Blue makes sure you have a field card every turn to play, so you can get the draw for your leader every turn. And then the other one is the Freezer Revived and Reviled, which is a 4-cost dual attack blocker, which is very good as well. And the second auto is to help get a bit of removal, and so you don't have to worry about things like the Son Goku Tree Fighting Spirit. Is once per turn, when a green extra card with the field skill in your battle area other than this card is placed in its owner's drop area by one of your skills, you choose one of your opponent's battle cards with an energy cost of 2 or less and KO it. So helpful, nice removal, and normally quite a few floodgates are in the 2 cost or less spot. Then we play 3 Unstoppable Invasion. Now I only play 3 of this instead of 4 because unlike the other 2, the first 2, they don't really draw you a card, so they don't net you a card. They just they net you a card to help keep your advantage up, whereas Unstoppable Invasion is more of an aggressive one where it doesn't gain you advantage, it just helps you put pressure on. Because with its first effect is it's an auto of if your leader card is green King Cold BR card. When this card is placed in a battle area, you add up to 1 card from your life to your hand. Then one of your leader cards gets 10,000 power and double strike for the turn. And as you notice, so this is a really good one for trying to pressure. Because if you play this, you give your leader. So you play this, you give your leader 10k boost and double strike, so it's now 25k double strike. Then you swing with your lead, use it to activate battle, sack a field card off, like this one if you want to, and then you gain another 10k, making it 35k base double striker, which is very, very strong. So you can put a lot of pressure just with your leader alone. And the reason why we run this higher, still at 3, as far as ever auto, which is when this card in your battle area is placed in its owner's drop area by one of your skills, you choose up to one of your opponent's unison cards and remove a marker from it. So this means you never have to worry about unisons with strike skills, that gain strike skills, because you can just go sack this off defensively to gain a boost and then remove a marker from him, and it makes it helpful for helping take down unisons, which is especially helpful in the mirror as well. And then we run 2 Terrified Realization. So we only run 2 of this because it's just a draw one, and it's just benefit where the other ones are a lot stronger and a lot more helpful. But you want to have 4, so you make sure you can play a filled card every turn. Because if you just have the first 3, and then you have all 3 of them on the board and don't have a way to get rid of them without attacking or can't attack, then you're stuck and you can't play a fill card for the turn. So you play all 4 of them, but only 2 Realization, because it's a good card because it's permanent. It's got permanent of if you have 4 more extra cards in your battle area with a fill skill. Your green Freezer Clan battle cards gain 5,000 power for the turn. So it means at the moment the Freezer card, 3 clancy cards you play is the King Cold Negate, the Caller Counter, the Freezer Charismatic Villain, and the 2 Freezer to 4 drop Dual Attacker Blocker, and the 5 drop. All those gain a boost, so you get Freezer being on 15k, which is nice because then you have normally when you have to Freezer it's a 10k, it can't really do anything. But with this boost, it can pressure on the opponent's awakened side. Then you turn the Caller and King Cold Negate into 20k attackers after you drop when they're on the board. You turn the dual attack blocker Freezer into a 25k, so it can either swing as a 25k, 2 25k swings, or 25k swing and then a double blocker. And then you turn the 5 drop into a 30k, which is very strong. And a good thing about this is of his auto to help awaken as well. Of when this card is placed in the battle area, add up to 1 card from your life to your hand and draw 1. It's a helpful draw. So anytime when you played this, Unstoppable Invasion, Unstoppable Anticipated Onslaught, or a new roller, you'd get a draw from lead and then basically a card from the fill cards because they draw in some way. That's it for the fill cards. And away next we have the Unison, which is for King Vegeta and Brawn Vader. Now this is a handy one and the themed one for the deck. And so we only play the 4, and it's a very strong choice because it's got 3 marker skills, a +1 which you're going to always activate, the -1 which you rarely ever use but you might because I've used it at least once, and the -3 which is going to be your closer. So it's 15k, so it's cost of 2. Its +1 skill is choose up to 1 mono green card with any cost of 2 or less and the field skill in your hand and activate it. So it means once per turn you can go +1 to activate a field card for free, leaving your energy open for your plays to defend yourself or counter things. Then the -1 is your opponent activate main. Your opponent chooses one of their battle cards with energy cost of 5 or less and KOs it. So this is not as great. If it was 6 or less, it'd be a lot better. And having the fact that your opponent chooses kind of makes it suck a bit. But then the -3, which is, as I said, your finisher, is an activate battle, where this card gains triple strike and 5k power for the turn for each extra card in your battle area with the field skill. So that's really good as a finisher, mainly because of the fact that you can you always start off with the King Cold's Dynasty Fields card. So as soon as you start the game, you've got 1 field card on board, and you play. If you manage to play all the other field cards you have, so 1 of each, you can get 5 on board, making it at least making it maximum a 40k triple striker, which is really good and a good way to finish off. Then we play 4 of the Berry Blue Freezer's Advisor. Now this is really helpful to keep consistency in the deck by helping find your fill cards and unison, and also help you every turn, as long as it stays on the board, recycle your fill cards after sacking them off with leader or with an ever skill, to make sure every turn you get to play a field card to get a draw for your leader. Because his first auto is when this card is played, you look at the 7 cards from the top of your deck. You add 1 green unison card with a specific cost of 2, or up to 1 green extra card with a filled skill among them to your hand, and then shuffle your deck. And looking at the top 7 is really good because you dig quite deep in the deck. And consider with my deck, I play 50 cards, including the fill card. And since the fill card is played at the start of the game, I'm running a 49 card deck. So I'm it's already by cutting out 6 in opening hand and 8 in life. I've got 35 cards in my deck, so as soon as I play this, there's 28 cards in my deck that I'm not looking at, which is there's 20. It makes it so it's a lot quicker to go through my deck to try and find the field cards. And then the way that you can use your field cards is with activate main for once per turn. For 1 green, if your leader card is a King Cold BR card, you can activate 1 mono green extra card with energy cost of 2 and a field skill from your drop area. So it means once you use, so if you sack off a field and get sent to the drop, you get to replay it back. This is especially good with the leader, where you can swing the leader, sack off a field to get a boost, and then use the berry blue to then bring it back. Now for a super combo, I do see people playing the Great Saiyaman, but I always feel 100% that Defending Father Paragus is the best super combo for the deck, because of the fact that you see the cards before you choose what to do with them. Like, because so with both of them you've got to lose a card. With this you warp it, and with the Great Saiyaman you put it at the bottom deck. But with Paragus you get to see the cards before you warp it, whereas Great Saiyaman you put a card back, then you draw 2. The issue with that is, with Great Saiyaman, if you put back a card you don't want in hand and draw 2 extra cards when you're being defensive, that's going to suck. Or at least with Defending Father Paragus, if you play this and draw 2 extra cards, you can warp one of the ones you get. It's a lot better. And as I say, deck thinning is deck winning, where there's, unlike with some decks like the Green Herodogon chain, there's nothing you really want to put back in deck. There's nothing you really need in deck to play from deck, unlike Herodogon, when you play a chain, you can play a chain for the deck. So seeing the cards and thinning through the deck is a lot better than just putting them back in. And then with with our counter cards, so for the first counter being freeze charismatic villain, I don't really need to speak much about this card. It's the free counter for this color. It's the free counter play for this color. Very strong. One of the maybe the best now, but I still say the Trunks is the best because it stops you playing the card and all. But this is one of the best counter players, and you've got to run 4 of. And the good thing is, as I said, with Terrified Realization on board, this becomes a 15k, so at least then with that on board and 4 fill cards in total on board, you get to pressure your opponents. You get the free play this, KO one of their battle cards, and then pressure your opponent's Awakened Leader with 15k. And then we play 3 Cooler Effort Strength. I really would prefer to play, I've got 4 of them, and I would like to play 4 of them, but with Dark Broly in the meta and being one of the most popular decks and being like a tier 1 deck as well, this does nothing against it, and Dark Broly is the worst matchup, so they make it so it's less, you got less dead cards against that deck. I whittled it down to 3, but it is a very strong card because of the fact that you can, as counter players, you play this card, and then if the battle card being played as an energy cost of 4 less, it goes straight to the drop, which is really good. And you're not going to be playing 4 for it, because of its permanent, where during your opponent's turn, reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each green extra card in your battle area and drop area, which is very easy to do because it starts off as a free cost because of the field you play. And then just by paying 2 in the field or having 2 in the drop, you get to have it as a 1 cost your opponent's turn. And no, it only gets reduced in your opponent's turn, not your turn, which kind of sucks a bit, but still is very fresh. It's really strong. Such a good card. And then we have King Cold Supreme Ruler. So this is like your top owner gate for the deck, where it's got the negate attack and play this card. But you don't discard anything, kind of like Topo. And it's got the auto of when this card is played, your opponent can't attack your leader card for the turn unless they choose 1 card in the hand, discard it. So it means that when you play this down, you're going to be able to just make it so if they want to try and kill you, they've got to lose some hand. And with the amount of negates and blocks you can do with this deck, it's going to be, once you play one of these to negate and play one of these, it's very hard for them to try and kill you. And you're never going to play this for free because of it's permanent, where it's reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for each green extra card in your battle area. So as soon as you start the game, it's a 2 cost. You just play 1 field card, and now it's a 1 cost. And the good thing is, unlike Cooler, it's on your turn as well. So if you need to have a battle card to attack with, you can play this for 1 energy. If you have Realization on the board, it's a 20k, and you swing with it. Then we go into the freezer cards. So we have Freezer, Revived, and Reviled. And this is a very good card. It's a dual attack blocker, and it has a permanent. Both freezers have the same permanent of you can reduce the energy cost of this card in your hand by 1 for every 2 green extra cards in your battle area and drop. So that's very to pull off to make this a 2 cost, the other one a 3 cost. And with realization, as I said, it becomes a 25k dual attack, which is very good, or even a 25k swing, and then have it to block. And it can block twice as well because of his auto, which is once per turn you can choose 1 green extra card in your battle area with an energy cost of 2 or less and the field skill, and place it in the owner's drop area. When this card activates blocker, switch this card to active mode. So you can block, sack off a field to your stand, which is very good, and you get the effects of the field card as well. Like you can either use this as defense or as some good cheap aggression, because you can play it when you got the 4 extra cards in combined on field and drop. You can play it off of Onslaught for free, and then use it however you like, which is really good. But if at the very least you can pay 2 energy to play it. Now we have only two of the golden freezer pinnacle clan. Like you don't really want to tap out. I feel like you never want to tap out for this. Like normally when I play this, it'll come down turn 3, depending on turn 4, but it might come down turn 3 depending on what opponent deck I'm playing and if I've got enough free defense after that. So as I said, it's got the same permanent of freezer to make it reduce it by 2 at the most, making it a 3 cost. It's a 25k with deflect double strike, and deflect's really good because it means that when you're against Mecha Freezer, you can play it and not worry about their counters, and then use it to, and it is a dual attacker in a sense as well because of its activate main, which is once per turn you choose 1 green extra card with energy cost of 2 or less in the field skill in your battle area. Place that in your drop. Then you choose up to 1 card in your opponent's hand, so you choose, which is good, so you get to select the card from your hand, not them. And then you choose 1 of the battle cards, ignoring barrier, place them in their own drop areas, and you switch it to active mode. So you can swing with it, then use the effect, sack off a field card, switch it to active, drop a card from the hand, put sync from the board into the drop, and then switch it to active mode to swing again. And also note that this also says ignores barrier, which is really strong, and also places in the drop area. So what green has a weakness with is the Gogeta chain. So if you're ever playing Gogeta chain, the Gogeta can't be KO'd. So but this allows you to get around it, but because it doesn't KO the card, it places it in the drop, so it can get around that. The only thing it can get around is indestructible. And then we have the one-offs. We have 1 Fuse of Master Deity's Wrath. So this is a way to make use of your Freezer charismatic villains as they go on the board. So once you get to turn 3, you can activate his activate main to pay 1, sack off the charismatic villain, and play the Zamasu down. And it's very good because it's got indestructible, so it can't be removed unless your opponent negates the skills, then KOs it, or removes it, or minuses the power down to 0. And it's helpful hand control because the fact of it is also when this card attacks, your opponent chooses 1 card in hand and places in the drop area. And then my secret rare of choice, which I've just dropped, is Great Ape Masayan Primal Carnage. Now this is a very good card. I feel this is a lot better than the Boo one because if you think about it, with the Boo secret rare, that has 1 line of play. It can be used for 1 situation, which is when you want to try and go in with your unison, using that the counter, use it as a counter to stop a negate. That's all it does. Outside of that, it does nothing else. If you're being aggroed down on the defensive, you've got a dead card in hand. Or at least with the ape, you can use it for defense or offense. So like its auto is the defensive part, where if your leader card is mono green, and you move this card from your combo area from the game, which is a 1 cost 10k combo. When this card is used in the combo, choose one of your opponent's battle cards, ignoring barrier, and KO it. So it's really handy, especially when, like I had 1 game in the Webcam event where my opponent went all in with the battle card, and then I just went combo this, remove it from the game, KO it, GG. And it's a way to be aggressive. It's activate main, which for 4 green, which you can get to. You can get to that amount of energy. You play this card from your hand, and it gains dual attack and triple attack for the turn. So this means for when you get to turn 5, if you've got your secret rare, you can apply a lot of pressure because of the fact that if you have a unison with 4 markers on, you could swing with that -3. If you've got 5 fill cards on board, you get a 40k triple striker, and then you can play 5 for this afterwards to get another 40k, another 2 40k triple strikes, which is very good. Yeah, I like the utility of this, so I would use this over the blue one. And the last card is Secret Identity Marseille. I was using Fighting Against Fate, but I found that the deck outside of Golden Freezer, you can't really do anything about their board. So once they get a board, you can't really get rid of it. Like you can get rid of weenies with the fill card, and you can get rid of 1 card with the freezer. But at least this gives you the option of helping clear the board and provide a 25k swing as well, which is pretty good. And that is the battle cards. And then with the last few cards, the extra cards, we have 4 Royal Supremacy. So this is a free negate for King Cold. It's free because of its permanent, where if you have 3 or more green extra cards with the field skill in your battle area, you can activate this card's counter skill from your hand without paying its energy cost. And the counter attack is just negate the attack, and then you choose any number of your opponent's battle cards whose total energy costs add up to 3 or less and KO them. So that means you can hit tokens because of the wording is similar to Dorman and the K-Alpha set 2. But this is very good free, and it's very easy to set up when you get to turn 2. Third fill card, because you set up 1 on turn 1, and then you set up your third one on turn 2. And normally you'll use all these you have in your hand before using Leader's Fed to defend, unless you've got multiple in hand. And then the last card we have is 2 Homicidal Clones. So these are the negates we got in Evolution Battle, which are almost in every color except from blue. So kind of phasing out the old Sparky negates because they do a lot more. Because they technically negate 2 attacks, because you negate your first attack with his counter, and also then get a blocker, a token that has blocker for the turn. And it can be paid for free as well, because their permanents are, if your life is 5 or less, you can take a life instead of paying the energy cost. So, and it's very easy to get down to 5 life, at least with like 5 lives or less with this leader. And the good thing is even if you don't use the token as a blocker, you then have it. This for the green one, it has combo power, so you at least then have it as a 5k combo for your opponent's turn when you go on the aggressive. And it is all for the main deck. Now for the side deck, because it was best of 3, got my meta tokens for the Homicidal Clones. So with the side deck, you've got side a lot for Dark Broly, which takes up a lot of space. But then I try to make it so it's as wide board as possible and has a help against certain matchups. So I had sided 1 SS Bardock Paternal Unison. Now this was there to help against things like Mecha, for when they try to rival in their Bojack. You can then use this to sack off the dual colors, so they've got to use more cards to help to try and rival it in. And against things like King Piccolo and Bojack, where they want a combo from life for energy, like you could help sack it off so it doesn't even come into play. Like I would side a lot more of these, like a playset, but considering Dark Broly worst matchup and you've got to side a lot of cards for Dark Broly to help deal with it in the games 2 and 3, because you're normally going to lose game 1, they don't have the space to do it, unfortunately. But I would like to side a playset. Depending on the ban list, I can see if Dark Broly gets nerfed hard, I can see myself siding 4 of these. Here, 2 Courts of Kai. This is just a stupid card. It shouldn't have been printed really. It's just a silver bullet to help. But yeah, it's just a silver bullet. Never should have been printed. Basically, what it does is if your opponent tries to defend themselves from your aggression with a thing like a Topo or something like that, or just basically try to play the game, you punish them for that. So if they have a Topo stood up to negate your attack and makes it's more costly to attack for the rest of the turn, you make it so that Topo, instead of costing 2 cards from the hand, it costs 4 cards. And then like in the mirror, you can, if you expect your opponent's going to drop the King Cold negate, you can punish them for basically trying to defend themselves, which is dumb. And then we have one Tactical Victory Vegeta. So this is a very good card I put in because, as you know, if you're watching my videos regularly, I hate blue, and I had this in for Blue Baby because it's one of the most annoying blue decks. But also as well, this is in there for the King Vegeta because if you take out the fill card, they have a harder time trying to keep the resources up, and also for the mirror as well. So like for King Vegeta, if you can drop this turn 2 and kill a fill card, if they want to play switching gears on the free cost Goku, Super Saiyan God, Vegeta or Goku, they don't have to find a young invader, play it, and then sack it off to play it. So it makes it a lot, their advantage a lot harder. And in the mirror as well, if you noticed, if you remember, with the fill cards, they get their second boost, their second effect, if the owner puts the card in the drop by their own skills. So if you use this to pop one of your opponent's fill cards in King Cold, they don't get that second auto. So one of the good things with this is if you say if your opponent has 3 fill cards on board, like with their King Cold Dynasty and 2 others on the board, and say you've got a Unison with 4 you got the King Vegeta Unison with 4 markers on, and your opponent's got that fill card, that take a marker off to sack it off. If they're tapped out, you can basically just go tap 2 for this to pop their tap 2 to pop their fill card, takes a marker, so it doesn't trigger because it's killed by your skill, not theirs. And now now they've only got 2 fill cards, so there's Royal Supremacy's in life. They don't have that fill card, so they can't just sack it off to take a mark off Unison to kill it. If you go to -3, and then you can safely swing at their lead and -3, unless they've got homicidal clones, or if they got the life requirement for it, they have to try and combo out of your killer swing from Unison. It's really handy. And I did actually use this when I played against King Vegeta to take out their fill card and make it a horrible time for them. Then we have 2 Mecha Cabura, the Broken Seal. This is for against decks that are quite linear, so like Red Broly and Dark Broly. It's not as great against Dark Broly anymore because back when we had it first out in set 11, it was good because you can play it cool Broly 6, it just shut off the turn because they had nothing else to play. Dark Broly 6. But nowadays they got their Overrealm, they've got their 7-drop Dark Broly, they've got their SS3 Gogeta they can drop, and their Overrealm. So even if you shut off the Dark Brolys, they still have a lot of stuff they can do, which is annoying. So it's not as good as it used to be, but it's still a necessary card you need for against Dark Broly, at least shut off. So they don't have all of that, they only have part of it. And in more Dark Broly hate, we have in Barlock the Fully Unleashed. So this helps you if they fill the board up with their 6-drops and stuff. You can overwhelm it, wipe it out, so they don't have it for defense, and pressure with a 25k as well. And this also helps with other things where they go with big battle cards like Sin, by removing those as well. Then we have 2 Focus Breakthrough, just to help things like Floodgates of Topo, in the mirror with so against like King Piccolo as well, stopping their drum from coming out, because that's the one you can't get rid of because it's got power. And in the mirror, stop their King Cold negates from coming down, so you can keep pressuring at the lead. So yeah, this was a really good card, and you can easily have it live because you can get on the 4 at life very quickly. Then we have 2 Blue Impulse. This is for decks that can play on your turn, where as long as you got Unison, if you got Unison on board, if you have your Unison on board, it becomes a 1 cost, and then if the opponent plays anything in your turn, you have to try to play smart, play Kai in your turn, so that your leader and Unison can't swing, and it's ready to wipe your board after. You just go tap 1, KO it, move from the game, gone. And then lastly, 3 Big and More. This is to help with Dark Broly, because so it basically makes it so if they do get the big boys out on their turn, they can't attack with them, so it helps you survive a turn, which is pretty good. Like, it's not the best, but it's just a helpful card to help them, because even then they can still make sure they drop the one that walks from hand to help whittle down your resources, and then use it to combo off defensively when on your turn. But it's a necessary evil to try and help because it is the worst matchup for the deck. But as the main aside, so normally for certain matchups, For Dark Broly, I would side in the 3 Bigger More. And I'll also side in the Bardock Fully Unleashed and Mecha Kaburas. And normally what I would be taking out is the 3 Callers, the 2 5-drop Freezers, because yeah, well, that's a bit costly paying 3 when I want to be playing for these 2. My Overwhelmness in deck, the Secret Identity, and one of the Anticipated Onslaught as well from the deck, or one of the fill cards that I feel like at the time. Like normally it would be one of a copy of Anticipated Onslaught already. So that's what I slide in to help against Dark Broly. Against things like Mecha, I would put in Cool Watsukai, the Bardock Eternal Unison, and thinking about it, I think that would be it. I would put in for against Mecha. Maybe the Blue Impulse, if they play anything on my turn, KO it if they're not tapping me down. Bardock to make it harder for them to rival in the Bojack, and Quatsukai, so if they do arrival in the Bojack or play the Bergamo, they're losing 2 from hand. And for things like King Piccolo and Bojack, I'll play the 2 Focus Breakthrough, Bardock and Quatsukai, to make it so they're punished. So Focus Breakthrough to stop certain things coming out, so against King Piccolo to stop the drum coming out, and with Bojack stop the Gokua from coming out, because that bounces back your Berry Blue and you want to keep that on board. SS Bardock to make it so when they do use the combo from their energy or life, you make sure you hit that one, because they can only do it once per turn. And Quatsukai to make it so if they do play free play, like play cheaper some of their battle cards by those skills, they get punished for it in hand. And with King Vegeta, I would play Focus Breakthrough, because a lot of the stuff is 3 cost or less with their Vegetas and stuff. One Tactical Victory to help take out their fill card, and I think really that's it for King Vegeta. Like it's not that bad a matchup, King Vegeta, because once you get past your turn 2, you can counter mostly all the plays and just control the board. Because even with the Unison, you've got the fill card and stuff to just pressure the Unison, take it out quite easily, and you got all the counters in the world to just prevent their stuff. Maybe put in the Paternal Unison just to help pressure, and then drop their combo, and he can also be able to reduce their hand by sacking off the Berry Blue. It's not going to last very long. But yeah, I would want to put 2 of these in. Hopefully with the ban list coming up, I'll get a chance to, if they nerf Dark Broly, it opens a lot of space in the side. But that is it for the main deck and the different ways I would side. Oh yeah, and against Blue Baby as well, forgot with Blue. It'd be Tactical Victory, Focus Breakthrough, and Blue Impulse. Because Quatsukai, if you Quatsukai, they can still play the Gohan, Baby's minion, because it comes in at 25k, so it doesn't get affected. But at least then you have Tactical Victory to take out their field card, so it makes them, they gotta pay full price for the counters instead of paying them cheaper. Focus Breakthrough to stop things like Raw, if they still have the field card on board, stopping Raid Rumble and Baby Minion Gohan from coming down. And then the 2 Blue Impulses, if they do play things on your turn, you wipe their board. And because you don't have to worry about a Boonie, because you've got the Raw Supremacy to negate the Boonie swing and then wipe out all the tokens as well. So yeah, that is the list with the side reasons behind the cards, and also a little brief cheat sheet of what you'd side out, side in. Like like it's quite easy for the Dark Broly, as I said. For the rest of them, it's a bit dependent on how you feel. But those would be the cards I side in. So with the matchups, for round 1 of Newport, I was against Baby Hatch, no, not Baby Hatch, Hatchak, which was quite easy. I ended up going 2-0 with that match, because I was able to just pressure through and counter stuff, and it's not as strong as it used to be, Hatchak, because of the fact that Unisons exist now. So now it used to be just you had a leader swing and a battle card swing, and if you had any more 8-drop or higher battle cards, you had more swings from that. but now you have leader swing, unison swing, and a battle card swing. So I made sure to put down either the 4-cost freezer to swing twice 25k, because I didn't really need to block much from their attacks, and have the unison and leader swing to pressure more. And then when I got to enough energy, drop down the 5-drop freezer, so I can also start taking apart their hand while suppressing with double strike a lot. And then doing both those things and ending both games with my unisons -3 effect. And then round 2, I played against King Vegeta. I won that 1-2-0 as well. So we did the resource game. I made sure when awakening, when I'm playing my fields, not taking life, because his young invaders would take life for me, and also try not take as much life as possible. So that way, when he pressures me down, I can have my safe awakening at 4 on my turn, and then I'll have my unison awaken and then be able to control, because I can just counter and just take out his board quite easily with my cards. So Royal Supremacy, Caller counter and stuff, and Freezer counterplay, just stopping, just wiping out his board, making sure he doesn't establish his board, and then easy enough to kill unisons, as I said, with the field card and leader. And then in game 2, I managed to I sided in the Vegeta Tactical Victory and took out his field card, which meant he was not having a fun game, because it then made all his cards a lot more costly. And at one point he had to tap 1 for a young invader, and then tap 1 to play the 19k crit Vegeta, which I then straight away paid 1 for a corner to stop it. So he just paid 2 to try and get a card out, losing 2 cards in hand and 2 energy for me to just counter 1 card and get established a body on board. And for round 3, I went against King Piccolo. That was quite easy as well in the beginning. And I'm taking out 1-0 because we didn't manage to finish the second game, because the first game went on for so long. Because I was given complete control of the first game, just countering all his stuff, stopping him from playing his stuff from life. And when he did, popping it and then just taking out his unison, so we can get 1 point. Because I think on his turn 2, he played his unison, got the draw, and then put in every unison to kind of keep it high. And I was able to just pressure hard by just going, play Mindstopable Invasion, swing with leader, with 25k double strike, sacking the field card off to take a marker off it, and swing with unison and kill it, because he didn't have a negate. Because he tapped out. So he used a loaded card to give his user markers, and I was just able to make sure that he didn't have anything to play. But then he ended up drawing into his Secret Rare to Go Hanks, which saved him a few turns, because I couldn't take it out quickly. He kept defending that. I was trying to whittle it down on the markers while not trying to swing with my leader card, while not trying to swing with my battle card to give it a marker, because if I swing with a battle card, it gets this effect off to +1, and then minus the card I swing with by 25. So I was trying to not swing with battle cards and just swing with unison and leader to pressure it down. But while doing that, I forgot how much I was drawing to try and pressure it down and go for my deck, so I ended up getting quite low in my deck. And as he saw that, he decided to just kind of stall out to try and deck me out. And it whittled down to, in the end, me having on my last turn 1 card in the deck. So I couldn't play a field card if I had one, which I didn't, to try and because otherwise my leader would force a draw for me to draw a card and lose. So it come down to, he had I had the 4-cost on board, swung with that to bait him out and force him to use his leader effect to bring out a drum. So he used that and then brought out the drum minus the 10k, and I swung with it again to then try and force out him to use his Attack of the Demon Clan he had, but he didn't have much left, and he didn't block with his drum either. He left that down because I had the unison I could have triple strike with. But then after that, I was able to drop the Zamasu, swung with that, which he didn't block, so he had 1 card in hand in the drum when I swung with Zamasu, so he lost the card from hand, and then I was able to tap 1 the combo with my 8 that I had to kill his drum, and then he had to take the life because he had nothing else. But luckily I could see all his life, so he had no negate. He had no negates in life. He just had to take a 5k combo, and I was able to then put a marker on the unison, swing with it -3, and then just kill him with that. And unfortunately as well, where the game went on so long, he didn't realise that we had time after the play him never game to finish like still for the match. So he went off, and then we came back to finish off the second game, and yeah, it ended up being a draw in the second game. So I took the whole game with 1-0 because I had so much defense and so many counters and stuff that he couldn't kill me, and I was just able to control everything he did. And in round 4, I had the mirror match, which I ended up losing 2-0, losing that. Game 1, I was in complete control. I decided to go for a strategy of not playing my unison, so that way when I make full use of shutting off his turn when I use the king cold negate, because then if he wanted to swing again after the first swing, he would have to discard a card because I didn't have a unison to swing into, just my leader card. And I was in complete control, like making sure the sequence properly, swinging with the king cold negate first, just in case he rolls supremacy, because that way he doesn't get maximum profit if I swing with leader first. But when it came down to the kill turn, I messed up because I forgot about the fill card that can drop markers from unisons being on board, and him having the effect on his lead. So I should have left that to last, but I didn't. And then also held back 5k on a swing with my secret rare to try and kill him, which if I did, he could only match that. But by holding back that 5k, he's an out combo that, and from his new rule, get a negate from my last swing from lead, which meant he could kill me on the crackback. And in game 2, I bricked where I didn't see. I only saw Anticipated Onslaught, and that's the only fill card I could ever see for until I died, which I could only see the same fill card, which means I couldn't play, I couldn't draw any of cards, I couldn't help myself awaken, and then he was able to finish me off with his unison because I didn't have a third extra card to use for a fill card on board to use the free negate, and I didn't have the Unstoppable Invasion on board to help make it so I couldn't die from that, so I ended up losing from that. And then round 5, I played against Adam Evans from the Distinct Few. He was playing the OG Soul Striker, which I didn't realise until after I awakened him in game 1. And despite seeing that he was playing red-blue and knowing what red-blue does, which is milling and power reduction, I played into it instead of trying to play around it. And then he managed to whittle down my resources and just take me out, and also managed to fill my deck to make me lose a lot of cards in deck that could have used to help me. And in game 2, it was trying to force down resources, and unfortunately he couldn't find a unison. And he did try to make a big push to try and finish me off, which I managed to defend and survive through, and then killing him on the crackback the following turn by at least using Quartzikai to help make it so if he tried to topple me, he get punished for it, and then kill him with my on the crackback with a load of advantage that I gained and kept hold of, which then forced a draw, unfortunately. So I ended up then coming 6th in the Newport Regional, and after enjoyed that, managed to get my winner stamp cards as well, which I was happy about. I would try to get some more callers from my Vecchi ramp, but it's too much of a hassle to try and get another 3. And but then with the fun of playing in person again and enjoying this deck, I decided to take it, and still not having the stuff for Bojack, I decided to go ahead and take this for the webcam event for the LPG. So we started off, and first round, unfortunately, my opponent dropped because the event started at 1 and he had work at 2, so he was unable to play, so he just dropped from it. So that means, as I said before, I had the opportunity to just watch the stream and listen to Scott's commentary for the first round and relax. And then game 2, I was in aggro sin. So game 1, I think he won the die roll. Game 1, he was able to get a turn 4. I had 1 energy left open. He put me down to 3, then dropped his TP Omega. Swung with it. I knew a caller was going to come down, so I thought I wanted to and I made sure that I wanted to trigger the caller to make sure that he's tapped out. So if he goes all in on this swing and thinks I'm defenseless, that he's got no other. If I survive this swing, he's got no other things he can play, and I can kill him on the crackback because he's on low life from taking his own life. So I used Homicide Clones to take a life to try and negate. He called it, countered it, and then I tried to bait him by saying, okay, how much combo power have you got? Let's see if I can out combo this. And then he went all in on it, put everything in his hand and the caller on board into his leader swing, to which me just tapping one combo on my ape and going KO the ape, and then him scooping up that game because I had the game. I was just gonna kill him the next turn. And then game 2, I got the he went first again, and I got the experience, the horrible feeling of being turn 2 Zenoed with nothing, because I only had one turn to play a field card, and because I only had one field card, I didn't have any free negate. I didn't have my I didn't draw into a homicidal clone because he was critting my life instead of because of the rage and stuff and the omegas. And yeah, then just I didn't have any combo power because my hand was a load of field cards and stuff, which is unfortunate. And one super combo I did have, just basically gave me more field cards. And then game 3, I had complete control because I was going first, and I just made sure that if he wanted to play anything, he couldn't, and then just whittled down resources and killed him very quickly and very easily. And then we have game 3, I played against Vegex. This one wasn't running the Nemigra unison, so I didn't have to worry about where that, which is one of the things where if they get on board and you can't get rid of it, it will earn your resources. But luckily for both games, for game 1, I was just countering all his stuff, just making sure he couldn't really attack and do much damage to me, and just making sure any play he had, I stopped it or killed it, and just slowly grinded him out and killed him. And in game 2, he went very aggressive on the push by turn 2, put me all the way down to 2 life. But luckily, like with the last swing being Mirror Champa, and luckily with the last swing, the 2 cards he gave me were 2 super combos. I just made sure from that point onwards, once I survived and got to my turn 2, he could never connect with his leader with a swing again at my leader. Because by doing that, he reduces his hand to, I think, just 5 cards in hand, and just had Trunks, True Fighting Spirit, Goku, and the Vegeta on board. So I was able to play my unison, play a 4 card from it, awaken, get more draws, and then swing at his Vegeta and KO that from a swing with my unison. And then when I went to swing at his True Fighting Spirit with my leader, he blocked with his Trunks, to which then I was able to just sack off the field card, the trigger, anticipating also the kill anyway, so I managed to wipe out his board. And then from there on, I just whittled down his resources, made sure he could never connect, as I said, with his leader. And then it ended up him going down to 1 card left in the deck and not being able to kill me, and then me just having my turn passing and him decking out. So on that 2-0. And then for round 4, I played against the eventual winner of the day, Chris Reyes with his Dark Broly. Dark Broly is a horrible matchup, and it was nice to experience that, about how bad a matchup it is. And it didn't make it any better with in game 1 I didn't see a single field card until turn 4, so I was doing nothing while he was just basically doing his thing, getting loads of advantage and setting up, and then just killed me, like slowly ground me down and killed me quite easily in game 1. And then in game 2, I started in all the stuff I needed for Dark Broly. Saw some of it, but then it was still difficult because he was still able to just grind my resources out with the Broly that warps 1 from hand and the Vegeta that warps 1 from hand and stuff as well. And even though I was able to drop go Mecha Kabura, Big and More, Mecha Kabura and stuff, I still wasn't able to stop him getting all his resources and basically out-resourcing me really for the game and losing it 2-0. And then for the last game, for the last round for the LGP event, LPG event, I had the mirror match again. So with this one, I lost a die roll, so he was able to go first. I ended up taking it 2-1. So with the first game, he was able to. I tried to adopt the same strategy I did in the Newport one, because in that one I fudged up at the end, and my strategy was working for the whole thing. So I tried to do the same strategy of not playing Unison and trying to just pressure his Unison and make him lose resources. But unfortunately, that didn't pan out very well. Managed to keep it in defense. Like he was very, very defensive of his Unison, so I couldn't take it out ever. And he was able to, and then at least with him having Unison, he had the freezer life for anything I wanted to play, and I was just able to, and having the terrified realization when he did drop the freezer to KO my King Cold when I used it as a negate, able to then pressure with the freezer at 15k as well when he wanted. So I lost game 1, and in game 2 I went first, and I made sure I was completely in control for that one. I made sure to focus on his use and make sure to whittle down resources and just not worry. And also he was playing Dormant. I can't remember if he's siding it or maining it, but that made sure he was losing cards as well, because he was using that to make sure I only had 2 attacks when I was trying to take out his Unison. That just meant he was bleeding cards from hand to try and defend it, which meant I was straight away just from that winning there. And then game 3 he went first again, and we both didn't open with a fill card. So he started off by charging and playing Dark Power Black Marseille, which I'm not sure why he sided that in or mained it, because it doesn't really help in the mirror at all. And then passed to me, and I went with my turn of just going charge, play Berry Blue, search for a fill card, and pass. And then on his turn, he decided to charge a 2 and play his fill Unison. So I didn't attack him, so he's still at 8 life. So he played his fill card, tapped out, used it to play a fill card, which I think was anticipating onslaught, to so his leader took a life, so he went down to 7, and then played the Berry Blue to search for, I think, another fill card, and then attacked with his leader, Unison, and Dark Power Black Marseille to put me down to 5, and put himself down to 6. So he ended his turn, tapped out. Only 2 fill cards, so he couldn't free play Supreme Supremacy. At 6 life, so he could play Homicide Clones. And yeah, so he couldn't really defend. So I was able to charge, do the same thing, charge a 2, play my Unison, then play Unstoppable Invasion to put myself down to 4 and get the advantage off my leader and make my leader 20k double strike. Then I was able to swing into his Unison with my leader card to make it so it's only took it down from 3 markers to 2, and then kill it with my Unison, and then have set up on my turn 3 fill cards and leave his leader at 6. So if he did it, was able to awaken, he could. And then for his turn, he swung away, charged, swung with leader, which then got Royal Supremacy to take out his Black Marseille and the Berry Blue. And then from then on, I was just able to control the tempo and basically control his plays. And yeah, because I had despite both having the bad opening, sequenced it better in the end, and then taking that 2-1. And then with that, I ended up 3rd in the end. And yeah, that was the weekend. Just a lot of fun Dragon Ball and very enjoyable games. And I felt a good performance with the deck as well. So I feel like this deck is going to be one of the top tier decks going into the next set, as long as the ban list depending on what the ban list does. If it hits Dark Broly quite hard, then I could see this becoming one of a very strong deck for the next format. So this is why I'm picking up and trying to fully fall it out. But anyway, thank you for watching for the deck profile. I hope this was enjoyable for if you want to take up King Cold or to understand a bit more about the deck. I try to make sure I go in depth about the main side, tech choices, and also give a bit of help with what side in, because that's one thing that I find is really helpful is learning what cards to side out for cards in your side deck and what cards to come in for certain matchups. But yeah, if you enjoyed this, don't forget to leave a like. If there's anything I got wrong or any questions you have, just feel free to comment, answer them as best I can. And lastly, don't forget to subscribe if you want to keep updated with my videos as and when they come. I'm going to try and put out more in-person deck profiles like this from now on. Maybe with some gameplay as well. For this one, I don't have gameplay because the games have already happened on the weekend. And yeah, thank you for watching, and stay tuned for more videos from me. Bye for now.